So quiz tomorrow. Remember, when you come in, you're going to be happy. Baby Scantrons will put a smile on your face. So again, think about that. And then Invisible Man, you know that you're going to finish up for March 10th. Yesterday, I mentioned to you Google Classroom, and again, the majority of you have signed up for it. I did just want to show you real quick the layout of it, just so that you can find things as need be. Do you as students have the ability to not get the emails? Do you know?
I got all of them.
You as the student can. I don't have to go in and do it. Okay. So, because otherwise, if you don't change the setting, every time I add something, you're going to get a little bleep. And if I go on a run, you're going to get 30 emails from me in the course of like half an hour, which you probably don't want. So talk to Maggie. She'll show you how not to get the constant updates all the time, or don't change anything and get constant updates, and it'll be okay. But a lot of you have used Google Classroom for other classes, so there is the main stream that is going in the front there. As I add things, they will be there. I'm big on I need folders, so under the topics, I put main folders and numbered them so they actually stay in order. So the first topic is always the current unit that we're looking at. So in this case, it's Invisible Man. When we're done with Invisible Man, that one will disappear. New unit will show up under current, whatever it is that it will be. And so any document that I give to you related to Invisible Man will be over there. So your motif chart you can get. If you forgot a copy of your book, I have a PDF of the book that you can utilize. I downloaded the app for like phone yesterday, which I don't think I will use much. But the one thing I did notice, for PDFs, rather than having to scroll, it does turn it almost like into an e-book reader where it like flips pages as you go through. So it was like easier for me to do. If you do use the PDF, the page numbers are different, so don't look up a page number based on where you left off. But the motif chart would be there. Once we start getting into the synthesis essay and you start going, hey, do you have extra copies of the statue? I'll say no, but if you go to Google Classroom, you can get the statue, you can get the essays that we were looking at and all that kind of stuff. If you ever do need the class recordings, the second topic is always recorded lessons. I throw them all in there. So yesterday's is there, and then the ones that we did earlier from Prologue Chapter 9 are there. But if you need those things, they'll just be in the chronological order that we go with. The calendar, there's still a link to the calendar if you like seeing what we're doing, in a couple weeks. But I'm not really updating the documents on the calendar or anything like that. I think that's pretty much it. There was something else that I had. Oh, and then up at the top of the page, are the updates. Oops. At the top of the page, then you can see due date. So you could hit view all, so you can see that we do have a poetry quiz for tomorrow. If you take a look at the poetry quiz. Oops, that's just showing all your names. Never mind. Somewhere I gave you a copy of the poem. It's probably in the stream somewhere. So there you go. If you think of anything that would be useful that you can't find on there, let me know and I can add it. You don't do anything on here. For it to show up in that coming soon, I have to put it in as an assignment. So none of you did your reading check quiz yesterday. Shame on you. Now you gotta, take care of that. I don't quite know yet. We're doing Slaughterhouse 5 at some point. I don't know if we're going to read that one next or if we're going to do something. Or something before.
Let's just do it now.
All right, while this is loading up, because I have spinny ball of death, want to compare and contrast Tim. And Tim from chapters 1 to 9, so not counting prologue, because that's a whole nother Tim altogether. But chapter 1 to 9 Tim versus chapter 10 to 15 Tim. So what would be ways that you can kind of look at it as how would you describe Tim earlier or later in the book? what would be some definite scenes from Tim early on that you think is very different from how he is later, or vice versa? Vince, I'll get to you here in a moment. So, chapters 1 to 9, verse chapters 10 to 15. What do you got?
In my opinion, it seems as if in the first 9 chapters, Tim is almost characterized as this guy that's going to school and like his whole life ahead of him, has high aspirations. That's just based on his speech and how he
Speech?
Yes.
Okay.
And like he was going off to school, he had all these high aspirations.
Showed up on my screen.
And then in chapters 10 through 15, kind of seems like he's at like a low point, just because he gets expelled. Well, I know that was kind of the end of chapter 1.
Yeah.
But he gets expelled and then pours like a bucket of spit on a random guy.
He thought it was Bledsoe.
And it almost seems like everywhere when they try to give him an opportunity, he kind of blows it. I.e., like the men's house, the job. He had this really nice woman take him in, and he just doesn't like her either.
Yeah, not that he doesn't like her, but moves on. Would you, and I don't want to like force answers upon you, idealistic, would you say he's more realistic later on, or?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. These don't have to go together, but does idealistic also kind of mean naive? And again, you could say no.
I mean, I could see it both ways.
Question mark, if you want to put it down, you can, if not.
Okay, this just confused me. This was part with Mary Rinda at the very end where he was like, there was this, the very loud, piercing scream.
We will get, well, you mean like when he wakes up?
When he wakes up and then he goes to hit something,
Yeah.
and then there's a person in the floor. I don't know.
Well,
He hears the pounding, so he
yes,
pounds the
we will get to that.
Okay. I was
Not probably with this, but we will get
it
to that.
just made me.
You mentioned speech, graduation speech that he had before. What would be his main speech for chapters 10 to 15? Yeah, you have that eviction speech taking place. How'd you like characterize that second one, eviction speech? Whether it be things that he says or.
It's like super passionate.
Kind of like from the heart, from the soul. And what my handwriting's deteriorated. I think my 7th period is just total scribble. What does his speech cause people to do? Get fired up, take action. It does something. Okay. Now he doesn't take action in the sense of leading the charge because he has to kind of get out of there. But it's a speech that takes action. Graduation speech. How would you characterize that one?
It's more passive.
And certainly, when we think of graduation speech, what name or phrase or speech comes to mind? Barn? Valedictorian.
Graduating and moving
But for what he says,
on.
like what is his speech?
That's that.
Cast down your bucket. Remember, it's the Booker T. Washington bucket speech, which, what does somebody call it a few years later? The Atlanta Compromise. And so in a lot of ways, it ends up being kind of submissive, which you go from take action to submissive. What's the blunder? What's the misstep that he takes when he gives the speech? Social, what did you say? Sorry, responsibility, my fault. And he's been punched in the face a bunch of times beforehand. Booker T. Washington, we have this compromise idea. Who throws out, who calls it the compromise, the Atlanta Compromise? W.E.B. Du Bois, who really wants people to take action. So you kind of even have a little contrast here with Booker T. Washington versus a Du Bois type speech. And I don't really think it would be any coincidence that this is a Northern speech versus a Southern speech. How would you like to be the next Booker T. Washington? No. No thanks. Whereas before, he's using his speech. He's quoting it, not plagiarizing, but symbolically using it. What's my favorite quote?
I am what I am.
I did my Rene Descartes joke yesterday, and JT Missoula just cracks up the whole time. I think it's like fake laughter, but he still laughs. Rene Descartes gets on an airplane, and the stewardess comes over and offers him a bag of pretzels. And, would you like any? I think not. And disappears.
I hate Descartes.
If you didn't get it, it's okay.
I didn't get it.
I know what
It's
I'm
okay.
talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's all you need to know.
Why does he like the yams?
Because they remind him of home.
Carolina yams. Brown sugar, butter, syrup, all those things. Or syrup, for those of you who say it that way.
Definitely syrup.
Syrup?
Definitely syrup.
What does he embrace? His southern roots. When does he do the total opposite? With a vendor on the street involving food. You look like a grits and pork chop kind of guy when he's going to get his breakfast. Greta's having one of those moments now. Before he goes to Emerson and goes, nope, I don't want that. The grits and pork chops. Nope. Instead, I'm going to have coffee, OJ, toast. Because what does he want to be? He's trying to be more Northern. He's trying to change kind of who he is, or at least disassociate himself from who he is. But at this point, he's embracing those Southern roots. The I am what I am thing happens on page 266. The hospital chapter that we were taking a look at yesterday with that rebirth scene, that chapter ends, I think, on page 259. So it's like right after the whole rebirth scene takes place, where he goes from that naive to assertive person. That's when he does start to become a little bit more comfortable in his skin and with who he is, and now embraces those things about himself, that identity. It doesn't mean necessarily that all these things are better about him, but there certainly is a shift, a change, a transition that occurs, and I think it does give a little bit more validity or credence to the idea of maybe him being kind of born again, renewed with that rebirth scene following the hospital. The element that now gets introduced to us, though, and not quite yet at the point when he wakes up, but what new character or organization do we now have? The Brotherhood comes in. The Brotherhood is not going anywhere anytime soon. They are going to have a pretty big presence throughout the rest of the course of the novel. Bledsoe, True Blood, those guys, they're not really coming back much, if at all, in some ways, but the Brotherhood is here to stay. The idea with brother this, brother that, and you also do have sister, is really someone in the 1950s reading it would associate it with using the phrase comrade over and over again, which is going to be allusion to communism.
Brave New World is
What's the Brotherhood promise, promote, advertise? Like, what do we, and we don't know a whole lot because you just got introduced to them, but you get the sense. Okay. What's the positive connotation about that?
You're a notable person.
Okay. Probably trying to, like, if we want to say, what are they promoting?
Social change?
Yeah, like social reform. So if there is some communist qualities about it, you're looking at political reform. Booker T. Washington, Harlem, you're looking at racial reform. There is some gender reform ideas that will get thrown around a little bit later. So you're looking at social equality. And again, historically, why communism is so seductive to groups of the 1930s, 40s, 50s, you have groups of people who've been disenfranchised, that no one seems to really kind of care about you. So, hey, we're going to promote social equality, social reform. Okay, sign me up. Anything not so positive popping up about the Brotherhood? Okay. And we don't yet know a whole lot with them, but like too radical.
Yeah.
Okay. Might be concerned about how radical, Erica.
They say like, people says like he's not black enough, so they kind of just, they seem to be using him.
And I think it was on your quiz that you had yesterday for the Emma line, but don't you think he should be a little blacker? What, and Joey, before we get to you and Hannah, or do you have something with that quote?
I was going to say you could talk about the piano player. It's kind of racist as well.
At the party itself? Yeah. Hannah, were you?
I was just gonna say that they can change his identity.
Okay. So we have certainly racism still existing and identity change. And I think those two things kind of play off point that I wanted to hit with the quote. It's an awkward quote. How are you supposed to react to it? What do you take from it by Emma having that possible criticism, at the very least concern? Because what, and I guess before Sam even answers, why are they interested in him, or what scene makes Brother Jack go, ooh, this could be a guy that might be... You have the eviction speak. So they are seeking him out. It's not like he came and went, knock, knock, I would like to be your brother. I don't know. But, Brother Jack, who seems to be a leader, brings him in.
Like, with concern-wise, like, maybe he doesn't represent a whole race.
Okay.
James, you could talk about how during this time period, being an educated African American wasn't too common.
Mm-hmm.
They had the colleges down south, and they were treating more people in the north, but still, an educated African American man was few and far between. So I guess you could go along with what Sam said. He doesn't represent the full demographic of African Americans in this time.
I don't want to again put words in your mouth. Would you say he doesn't fit a certain... Anything coming to mind or not really?
Oh, you were waiting for me to finish that.
Yeah. Because I don't want to be the one to say it.
He doesn't represent a certain. If you wanted to put a word in there.
I'll hold on.
Like, I had a question. So, like, is the Black Panther Party like a thing during this time?
That's going to be more 1960s. I would say, looking back from 2017 kind of lenses, you can see some similarity. The main change, though, would be Brother Jack, Emma, the piano player that you referenced. Most of the leaders of the Brotherhood, or most of the members of the Brotherhood, are white. So it is more radical. There is a character who you've sort of been introduced to You will get much more face time with him coming up in the subsequent chapters. That I don't know if you've gone into Marcus Garvey yet in 8 Push, if that's a name that's been thrown around. Son of Black Panther from earlier time period, 20s and 30s. Very radical, very militant. That character will show up. He hasn't quite come about yet. That would be more Black Panther type than what Brotherhood would be, because you still have that white leadership. Which is kind of ironic, because Greta's question about optic white, we were looking at yesterday, we talk about whitewashing, and now you have someone going, that'd be too light, too white.
I was just gonna say that, I mean, I'm probably just gonna rant with this, but like, they're trying to use him more as a symbol than an actual person with ideas, because they're probably just gonna use him as a color for their movement.
Symbol, and like Joey, the word I was thinking of before was stereotype.
Yeah.
You said puppet?
Yeah.
I like that one. But essentially a tool. His speech was passionate from the heart. He's talked, we could use this guy, but you get the sense that he's not going to be speaking from the heart, but it's going to be company lines that he has to feed. Is he going to fit the demographic that we need him to? Don't you think he should be a little bit blacker? That's the stereotype that we have of Harlem. If he's going to be able to communicate and be our spokesperson, I don't know if this is the guy that we want. Emma's not worried about his intellect, his mind, his ideas. Emma's worried about his appearance. And that's something that everyone has always kind of used to characterize him. So if he is invisible, she's changing the color, but she's still trying to see what she wants. She's not trying to look for what does he really bring to the table. But yeah, symbol, stereotype, puppet, tool, resource, something like that seems to be almost an extension of the Brotherhood, as opposed to, you got great ideas, let's hear them.
The building that he was living at in the basement of Join the Crow, is that the same building? Is this the
No,
okay.
or at least there's no clear connection for it. You never really know the building, because the party's in a hotel. He does describe the other one as like a tenant building, like an apartment, but it's a white apartment, so it wouldn't be Mary Rambo's or anything like that. But there's certainly still racism within the group. The piano player's giving him a hard time. Hey, you should be able to dance and all that kind of stuff. So far as like rhythm and things, very similar to what the doctors were saying when they were thinking about jolting electricity through them. So there certainly still seems to be some racism through it. And Hannah brought up the identity change, I think. Who gives him his new identity? Brother Jack. So you have a white man gives a black man a new name. Historically, what do we call that? Slavery. So you could look at, hey, there certainly seems to be some signs that it's not Brother Jack, but it's Master Jack. What does Master Jack give to him? You get $300. You get $60 a week. You get clothes. And you get an apartment. You get this name. Why is he getting paid? He's getting paid to not just work, but speak. White man giving him money to talk. We've seen that before. Aubrey, when did we have? You had True Blood, you had Norton. Tim was disgusted with it. Norton got $100. White man wanted him to talk, tell the story. Now, Tim's telling the story. We saw the $300 payment from the white man to the black man. Lucius Brockway, if it's optic white, it's the right white. Tim also does not like him. So all the faults that he was finding in other people, he is now, well, he's not finding it necessarily yet, but he is certainly doing those same things. The cherry on the top then is the party that he goes to. Anyone remember the name of the hotel? It's a weird name.
Yeah,
The Chthonian, which is a real word. It's Greek. Or as Cicero would say, it's all Greek to me.
Cthulhu is not.
Anyone know Chthonian?
She brings a
It's Hades or the underworld.
She actually.
Jack throws a hell of a party. Come to our little get together, and keep in mind, Jack is pale white with red hair. So he's a red, like a little commie, but
Like fire.
yeah.
So good.
So for Flannery O'Connor essays, people were looking at a lot of foreshadowing taking place. White man, black man, new name, puppet, symbol, stereotype, welcome to hell, here's some money. And it bleeds perfectly then into, Sam, your original question that we had, because post-party, chapter 15 is when he wakes up. And when he wakes up, what's the situation? He's in his bed. So he's sleeping, probably because he's hungover after the party. I'm going to put him in a race car bed because race car beds are awesome. Vince, did you have a race car bed?
I did.
No. Triplets, you're not getting anything.
I never had bunk beds either because they didn't want to leave one of us like alone.
Oh. That's so. What if you got triple?
I always told people that my mom put me in my brother's dresser. Like when I was born, that's where I slept. And then there was a story on the news that your newborns you should put in a cardboard box because they can't roll over. And with like SIDS, sudden infant death. So my mom called me and said, see? Dresser wasn't all that bad. I was saving your life.
Just like make it a pretty.
So you got a steel pipe. Steel pipes running through the room makes sense because this is where the heat is going to be coming from. It keeps the place warm. Problem is, if someone is making noise on the pipe, what's going to happen? You're going to be able to hear it no matter what, and he is certainly going to be very upset because he has headache, already going on. If you want to talk to the guy 2 floors up above, hey, Vince, how you doing? Good. And now we're ticking everyone else off in the building because they're going to be hearing our conversation. So what does he do?
Wait, you didn't let me say good.
Did he bang on the pipe? I think that's. He started yelling.
He's upset, but he takes the bank and he chucks the bank. Little piggy bank.
It's so cute.
Wasn't it like a racist thing?
Yes.
Lovely.
So he chucks the bank and then it blows into a billion pieces. But the depiction of the bank is
No, it's like a grinning.
it's a derogatory caricature of a grinning black man, prominent red lips that are smiling. How does the bank work? It's a lever system. You put the money in his hand, hit the crank, and the money goes into his mouth. Money makes him happy. What just happened?
You just got money for speaking.
He just accepted money for speaking, and puppet, symbol, stereotype, he basically matches up with the piggy bank, chapter 15 symbol. Now, he throws the bank, and not the whole bank explodes, but the head, oops, I don't have pictures anymore, the head of the bank is what blows up everywhere. What does he have?
Big head.
Big headache. His head's exploding, the bank's head explodes, they're both getting the money. He's maybe not grinning at this point, but there's some definite parallels that take place. What does he want to do with the bank after he destroys it? Or at least breaks it, doesn't really destroy it. He wants to throw it away. The problem is, he can't because...
He put it in the trash because someone was like,
Right, initially, he talks to Mary, tries to give her money so that he's not going to come back, but then he wants to be able to get rid of it, and people see him, which is, again, ironic because Tim, the Invisible Man, the one time that he doesn't want to be seen, he's visible. So ultimately, what does he do with the bank since you can't throw it away? He has that trusty briefcase. What's in his briefcase now? We got a bank. What else is in there? Throughout the course of the book or the briefcase at this point. Scholarship.
There were some other papers, I forget
Yep.
what they were.
Why do you go to New York?
Oh, those letters to the, no. Yes.
Yeah, Bledsoe's letters.
Okay.
Are we talking about like things that have been in there? Things
Yeah.
that are still,
Thi-
okay, I was gonna say, like, why does
thi-
it have a scholarship?
There later on, you're going to still get reference to the scholarship in the letters. So no, you don't. You wouldn't think that the scholarship would still be in there, but you're kind of under the assumption that it still is.
Does he go back to the school in the course of the novel?
No. Another piece of paper that Hannah mentioned today. Not as a piece of paper, but his new identity. And you would assume there's still some money that's kind of going in there as well. One thing that you certainly want to keep an eye on throughout the course of the book is what all goes into that bank or into that briefcase. That's going to be significant. But letters, bank, scholarship, name, money, these are all items that have some kind of what over him? Power, control, some kind of ability to keep him from being who he truly is or might want to be. So, power of others over him. What do we call it when a person has a lot of past experiences that you carry with them? You're carrying baggage. He literally has all of his baggage, all of his burdens with him. The briefcase isn't going anywhere. It's going to be with him. So the items that go in that briefcase, you would want to keep an eye on it when it comes to that motif chart because there's probably going to be some symbolic aspect to it. And really, the briefcase is going to have a more prominent role throughout. So it's certainly a symbol, but you could also make the argument that it takes on that motif quality of that control, that power that is over him.
Okay, but so did he actually see like the guy's face? Because there was a part where he was talking to the guy and like a hole in his floor or something, and he could like see the guy's face, and then he went back after he talked to Mary Rambo, and the guy was gone or something.
Oh, in the apartment?
Yeah,
Um,
because that was really.
I don't recall him seeing other person, but I know the part that you're talking about, but I'm not going to say with 100% confidence. Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. One thing is I think Vince might have said envelopes, or someone said envelopes about things that would be in there. Remember the dream that he has with his grandfather where he opens up all the envelopes and you get to the very last envelope, keep this envoy running. If people are keeping you running, and again, I think this is why Ellie's term was pretty appropriate, he's essentially, oops, there it goes, puppet for other people. They're controlling the strings. They're the ones that are making him going in other directions. He's not finding his own path at this point. So moving forward, brotherhood, items going into the briefcase, those would all be things that you want to keep an eye on. Tomorrow, we'll do poetry quiz at the very beginning, 14 pages. And then when we're done with that, you'll be able to break off into groups, take a look at the 3 essays that you have, finish those.
It was the bank was the face.
The face looking at the
That makes so more sense. So much more sense. So there was no back.
So what's that?
We're not doing this thing tomorrow.
Like I would, you're not reading all the essays. I would suggest looking at the prompt and reading the sources, so that you can move into the essays right after the quiz. Friday, right? And you'll still have a couple minutes Friday to finalize, argue, yell at Sam,
Oh yeah.
whatever it is
sounds
that
about right.
That is
you
That sounds
want to
so
do.
true. Like, yell at